Hey everybody! Welcome back to the Crow's Nest and the Wealth Advisory's top stocks for August 2025 because July is already over. Like, we're officially more than halfway through the year. The dog days of summer are winding down. We're technically getting into the seasonally worst period for stocks. Actually, in the past 2 years, it's been a really bad period for stocks. Like in 2022 and 2023, the market had run up a lot in the first half of the year, and it sort of peaked in July and fell through August and September, and then started to run back up again. This year could be different because we had like a little bit of a run at the beginning of the year, and then a big drop. And then we've been running since April. So maybe we're pushed off a couple of months. Who knows? This is not a market that I would say to sell and walk away from. I think there's still a lot of opportunity for gains out there. You've got trade deals coming, tariffs probably not coming, keep getting pushed off. Call it what you will, taco negotiation, whatever. But the markets have been responding well. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ have both hit new all-time highs. Interestingly enough, the majority of the Magnificent Seven has not hit new all-time highs. So that says that the market's going up, on breadth, on other stocks. The rest of the market is sort of going up. So yeah, you're seeing all the headlines about big tech, and they are really starting to perform. NVIDIA's running. Meta just reported and did really well. Microsoft is now officially the second $4 trillion company in history. Just for reference, this $4 trillion is bigger than the GDP of Italy. It's bigger than the GDP of France. It's bigger than the GDP of the UK. It's bigger than the GDP of Canada. We have two companies in America whose market caps are bigger than the GDPs of developed nations, like long developed nations, well-developed nations. It's pretty impressive. It says a lot. I think, earlier on in the year, people were talking about, American exceptionalism is gone, like American markets outperforming, that's over. And I will be the first to admit that the Greek stock market is the number one performing market in the world this year. It's up like 53% or something like that. And it's basically like, we were talking about this before the show. Investors react in absolutes. Coal is dead, tobacco is dead, Greece is dead. And when it turns out that something's not dead, that can be enough to send those stocks just soaring. When it turned out that the tobacco companies didn't die because of the tobacco lawsuits or because of the tobacco settlements, tobacco stocks performed great. When it turned out that the world still needs coal stocks performed really well. When it turned out that Greece didn't, go completely insolvent and disappear and get absorbed by some other country, Greek stocks started to run. And just, as an aside, there's probably still more room for upside there. If you guys want to look, there's an ETF, GREK, which basically just sort of focuses on the whole Greek market. So just a little free tidbit out there for you guys. But anyway, markets have been running. We're looking good. And we're coming into August. Like I said, seasonally, one of the worst times for stocks. August and September are tough. You figure, folks are getting their last vacation in before school starts. Wall Street's going out to the Hamptons, out to the mountains. There's going to be low volume typically, and that makes moves a little bit more extreme. But at the same time, retail is really involved in this rally. You're seeing stocks like Robinhood soaring. It's up like 180% this year. Coinbase going up on the crypto and the technology. The institutions aren't really participating in those so far, but they're going to have to play catch up. So there's probably still more upward momentum there. We're going to see rebalancing. We may or may not get rate cuts, but honestly, the market's performing really well with or without them. So, do we need them? Probably not. Are we going to get them? Maybe. The Federal Reserve has sort of lost a lot of credibility with me. They, let inflation get out of control. They let a banking crisis develop. Pretty much all of them got caught trading on inside information and didn't punish themselves for it. Most of those people are actually still Fed governors, interestingly enough. So, are they going to do what they need to do? Who knows? Let's be honest. Who knows? They're saying that they're data dependent. We're definitely seeing core PCE, which is their favorite inflation gauge, sort of rising again. We'd seen it falling over the past couple of years. So that could be an impact from tariffs. We're definitely going to see some higher prices because of those. That's sort of what they do. It's a tax. But at the same time, companies are remaining resilient. Tech is driving the market. They seem to be able to absorb a lot of the hits. Margins aren't compressing too much. Things are sort of looking good. And last month, man, was great. The S&P was up about, I want to say 4%. NASDAQ up around 4% also. The Dow was up, I forget the exact number, but like around 2 or so percent. It moves a little bit slower because it doesn't have all of those tech stocks. Also, interesting note about the Dow, it is not a market cap based, it is a price based. So the weighting of a stock will depend on its share price. So that's why, a company like Apple could make a 2% drop in the S&P 500 when it falls by 5%, but it could actually pull the Dow down by like 4 or 5% as well because it's just it's a higher price stock. Just interesting little tidbit for everybody out there. We want to help people learn. That's part of the goal of these videos. Help you guys find some good investments, but also help you learn a little bit more about investing. So like I said, the markets did really well. We did even better. We had one stock that did not gain, but it basically finished flat for the month, which isn't terrible. It didn't lose, didn't win, but we'll take a tie on that one. We had one stock that did not beat the market, and literally all 8 other stocks outperformed the S&P, outperformed the NASDAQ, obviously outperformed the Dow. I think the one stock that didn't outperform the markets but did gain, did outperform the Dow. So, we outperformed the markets with the vast majority of our picks. Just a little freebie here for everybody who was not a member as of last month's video. One of my picks last month for the members was MP Materials. It's up 83%. Since we put this video out last month. So for those of you who are, thank you, appreciate that. For those of you who are considering joining, Steven, I'm looking at you. I saw your comment and I appreciate it. That is the kind of extra boost that a membership to the Wealth Advisory can give you. And as always, we're going to put a link in the description below the video on YouTube so that if you do want to join us, you can click that link. It'll take you to an offer for a discounted membership. We won't even charge you the full price to join. And not only will you get the full top 10, you'll get monthly issues with feature recommendations. We try and add a new stock to the portfolio every month. You'll get access to all the reports and articles we've ever written. You'll have access to our model portfolio so you can see all the stocks that we've recommended. And we'll put 2 links in there actually now because one will be for the Wealth Advisory and one will be for the Crow's Nest. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we can figure out a way to get like one link where people can get both.
Yeah, give them a package deal. You know what? Let's start bundling.
The Jason bundle.
Yeah,
I think you guys will love it.
It's
way better than any bundle Comcast
Let's run that by
offers.
our owner and CEO and see what they say about our discount bundle idea.
I think they'd like it.
We're doing that for you guys.
For you. We're going to put ourselves on the line and go see what we can work out for you after this one. And so with that all being said, as anybody who's watched this on YouTube before knows, we're going to run through our first 2 stocks each, so you'll get 4 total, and then we're going to cut it off because this is a service that we provide for our paying members. We don't think it would be fair to give away something for free that we charge them for. But like I said, click the links in the description, grab your discounted membership. We'll see if we can figure out a bundle package for you so that you can just make one click and get both Jasons.
Boy.
We're trying to make you money. We're trying to save you time. We're like your best friends on the internet.
Weird thing to say, but
we're trying. We're trying, guys. And so with all of that, let's go ahead and get this started. For those of you watching on YouTube, all that I ask, if you don't make the decision or if you make the decision not to subscribe, or don't make the decision to subscribe, just click the bell. Make sure you get notified when we post new stuff. Subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. We post a lot of content up there that's really valuable. Give us a thumbs up and drop some comments. As Steven can attest to, I will mention them. And I'll talk to you. I see you out there, Steven. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for coming back. And honestly, I really hope your name's on our list next time we send when we send this video out.
Frankly, it better be.
Yeah. That's what the man says. Watch out. All right, guys. Now, with all that being said, I think we've had enough frivolity for the day. Let's get into the stock picks. We've got some really good ones for you this month. Like I said, we had a great performance last month, beat the markets. Just about any one of our picks could have returned enough to pay for an annual subscription. Some of them could have returned enough to pay for a lifetime subscription. So I highly recommend you join. And with that, let's get into it with my first pick of the month, and it is Astera Labs. I'm just gonna grab my pen here. Ticker symbol is ALAB. And for those of you who are not familiar with Astera Labs, it's an AI, it's what I call sort of an AI accelerator. It makes solutions, it provides solutions to companies to help them get their data centers that are running these high draw AI loads to work more efficiently. Data, you don't think about it, but like data hits bottlenecks too. There are points where, basically it's a horrible description, but it's like the tubes of the internet narrow. And sorry, I couldn't resist that one. I was thinking about that earlier today. But it's a bottleneck. AI hits bottlenecks, data hits bottlenecks. AI uses tons of data, and when you start to hit bottlenecks, your servers start to have to work harder, the chips have to work harder, they get hot, it costs more money to cool them off because when they get hot, they don't work. So you're spending more money, you have more downtime in your systems, your AI just doesn't work as well as it should. And so Astera Labs sort of provides solutions to help companies address those issues. They've done really well for us. And I have a note here to point out that this is kind of a gamble because, like I said, tech stocks have been running. The Magnificent Seven is starting to catch up to the rest of the market, starting to hit new all-time highs. The AI enthusiasm is still very much alive and well, and Astera Labs is definitely riding it. We've got a risk-on sentiment in the markets. Meme stocks are back. Random crypto projects are getting billions of dollars in funding. Every other failed company is pivoting to some crypto treasury strategy to be the new microstrat. It's risk-on sentiment is back. Astera Labs is definitely benefiting from it. It's up over 200% in the past year, 150% since April, and 40% this past month. But the thing is, it's not a meme stock. It's not a failed company. It's not a random crypto project. It is a real deal AI accelerator. It's got big customers. It's got lots of them. Analysts are starting to take note. It's getting upgrades. They're boosting their price targets. Now, if the sentiment sours, this one is likely to turn south faster than you can spell AI. But if the mood stays positive, I think we can see another at least double-digit gain in August too. So Astera Labs is going to be my first pick for the month. And with that, let me clear the canvas and pass this over.
There we go.
To Mr. Simpkins.
Let's do it.
And he's got a really good one for you guys too. This is also kind of a technology-related stock as well.
In its own way.
Uh-huh.
It's RTX. RTX might sound familiar because I talked about it last week, and I've talked about it, honestly, quite a bit. And the reason I keep talking about it is because it keeps going up. It was up 8% last month. Just another leg up for a company that just keeps turning gains. And we've talked about a lot of the reasons why already. Talked about global defense spending going over $2 trillion annually. It's the highest level it's been, superseding, I think, ever. We're at record levels of defense spending globally, and it's going to keep going up because, as we also saw, NATO increased its budget targets from 2% of GDP down to 5% of GDP. And they, speaking of which, that was largely because obviously Russia invaded Ukraine, and there needs to be a sovereign continental defense for the EU that doesn't necessarily rely on the United States. And that is something that's obviously been a major point of focus for the Trump administration, Donald Trump in particular. He's always been browbeating NATO to spend more on money. They're listening. And again, they didn't really take that much convincing when you've got Vladimir Putin invading Eastern Europe. So that takes a lot. But we can move past that right now because what's actually really important development over the past month is that Trump himself has kind of warmed back up to European defense, turned a little bit sour on Russia and Vladimir Putin. He's kind of changed his tune a little bit. He's taken a much tougher stance on Russia, and he's gotten more sympathetic towards Ukraine, so much so that rather than cut off aid to Ukraine, which was the initial position, He started releasing more military aid to Ukraine, specifically a tranche of Patriot missile defense systems, which are extremely important. And that is made by RTX, and it's a big reason why shares jumped over the past month was that announcement that basically saw the EU buy those Patriots from the United States to send them to Ukraine. And that is just fine and dandy as far as Donald Trump is concerned. All he really, really wants is people buying U.S. goods, and in this case, U.S. weapons. So the more Europe does that, the friendlier he's going to be to their interests. And so now they can deploy those. And the Patriot really is a bedrock, really defense platform and weapons platform. It's one of the most widely used anti-air defense systems in the world. It can intercept rockets, mortars, short range, even like mid-range threats, incoming missiles, cruise missiles, these kinds of things. They're very mobile. They can be stationed anywhere. They operate in 19 countries around the world. They are extremely well integrated into the United States defense, Europe's defense, and then defense in the Pacific with our Western allies there, Japan, South Korea, all those guys. And so that's why RTX is up, and that's in addition to the other missiles they make, like Stinger, Tomahawk, Javelin, a lot of other weapons platforms they make. But just keeping with the Patriot, in addition to that Ukraine deal, two other deals, recent contracts, a $529 million contract to equip the Netherlands with Patriots, and a $946 million contract with Romania. Again, you're looking at these countries, Romania in particular, these Eastern European countries that are most vulnerable to Russian aggression, they're the ones that are really loading up. You're going to have Romania, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, Czechia, all these former Soviet satellite states that are really in closer proximity. They have far more at stake than a country like France or the United Kingdom, which aren't really under threat of being invaded by Russia to the same extent that these old Cold War Soviet satellite states are. So that's where you're seeing the defense spending in Europe, where they're ramping up specifically this kind of defense. You probably can't really turn on the news without seeing Russia bomb another Ukrainian city. Everybody's seeing this. The world is watching, and the message in Eastern Europe has been very clear. Get your air defense game straight. Okay, because if Russia's going to start sending missiles and fighter jets and bombers to your territory, you need to be able to defend that space, and that's the kind of defense that the Patriot missile system and a lot of other RTX systems give you. This has been one of the best performing defense contractors over the past year, over the past couple years. It's been outstanding, so I recommend it a lot, but as you can say, like it's been going up. The rewards have been there, and I'll keep recommending it so long as it keeps going up. Also, one final note on that Patriot that I just saw in my notes. The U.S. Army is allocating more than $1.3 billion to Patriot missile system purchases in the next year, the upcoming fiscal year. So United States, Europe, defense, RTX right there in the middle of all of it.
I love it. I saw a video, I don't want to, maybe last week or the week before, that I think it really got Europe a little bit on edge. It was a video of a new, like brand new Russian drone factory that basically has the ability to potentially crank out as much as 2,000 drones a day. These cheap Iranian drones that they're now manufacturing in Russia, and like they used to have trouble getting 2,000 drones out to Ukraine in a month. Now they could potentially send it in a night. Yeah.
And I mean, I will say too, with the Patriot missile system, not only can it intercept threats like drones, it can also intercept hypersonic missiles. So it's performed that. It's probably not quite as successful, but it's still a pretty high success rate. It's managed to do it. It's not something it's incapable of doing. And I think as the technology further develops and gets refined, they'll continue to do it and probably get even better at it. But when you talk about emerging threats, whether it's drone swarms or hypersonic missiles, things of that nature, RTX, again, one of the companies with the capability to defend against those things.
Yep. I like it. I think that's a good one for us. All right, guys, so that brings me to my next pick, which is a little bit different, but you guys are going to have to bear with me on one of the reasons for it. But once I get done explaining it, I think you're going to agree. So next up, my number 4 pick for the month is Dorian LPG, and the ticker symbol is just LPG. It's a nice, easy one there. So I'm going with Dorian LPG as my number 4 pick for a few reasons, one of which might seem a little crazy to some of you, but if you hear me out, I think it's going to make sense. And this is that reason. Cheap American oil and natural gas is the best way to beat Russia. And end the war in Ukraine. I mean, Russia's war machine is fueled by petrodollars. There is no question about that. Over 50% of the company's GDP comes from selling energy, despite endless Western sanctions that were supposed to get it to stop being able to sell energy. But American producers can undercut Russian oil. Like, they could actually produce at lower prices than Russia is even selling its black market oil for. So you can't just take away some of the supply. You have to provide an alternative. And we haven't really provided an alternative yet to the Russian oil and gas that's powering Asian countries, that's powering Europe. But American energy can do that. American producers can do that. And I really hope that the market starts to realize that. I really think that the politicians need to realize that Russia has been able to keep this war going because it has cheap energy. Everybody was like, oh, Russia's a poor country. They're practically broke. They'll never be able to fight. They'll never be able to build stuff. Well, they figured out how to do it, and it's by selling cheap energy to the rest of the world. They're sending it out through these unmarked tankers. They're going to India. It's getting sold in India. It's getting sold from India to other countries. China's buying it. But there's another reason, okay? There's another reason on top of the American oil could end the war in Ukraine. It's that the EU has literally just put out some new Russian sanctions packages. I think this is like 18th or 20th sanctions package. This one's definitely going to do something. But part of that sanctions package is that they're not repairing the Nord Stream pipeline that nobody knows who blew up. We still don't know who blew that up. But they're not going to repair it. And that's how they get their gas. So how are they going to get their gas? Well, we've got a new US-EU trade deal, and it calls for lots more American natural gas that Dorian can help bring over to those ports in Europe, and that Europe can then pipe out and use to replace that cheap Russian energy that they've become reliant on. So I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for the American oil and gas companies. I think there's a lot of opportunity for the midstream companies like Dorian, like the other ones that own the pipelines, even the upstream companies, that are selling it to retailers. So I mean, from production to transportation to sales, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the U.S. energy market, and I want to play that this month with Dorian LPG. Like I said, sort of a crazy reason, but there's actually some logic that goes behind it. I mean, cheap energy is what wins wars, and Russia's got lots of cheap energy, and if we can undercut them, then we can help sort of weaken that position. All right, and with that, let's pass it off to Jason for his fourth pick.
Let's do it.
Right, let's do this. It's a good one. I like this stock a lot, guys.
Yeah, this is another topic we've covered. This is Pan American Silver. We've been on top of this precious metals bull for a while, and we've been talking up silver all year, and it really hasn't disappointed. It's up 33%, or Pan American Silver is up 33% this year, largely because of the rise in silver prices, which were up 8% in the past month. I think what I really want to talk about here is inflation, because while the headline numbers have been relatively subdued, that's great. There are some pockets where we've seen inflationary pressure build, namely places like food, grocery prices, dining out, these kinds of things. That can be, one, just higher prices for agricultural products. A lot of that can be influenced by things like weather or farming seasons, production, that kind of stuff. In the case of the United States and some other places, right now, labor shortages have also factored into that. So we're seeing inflationary pressure from there. We're also obviously going to see it from tariffs. We're talking about higher input costs for a lot of things. Some companies, some sectors, certainly more vulnerable than others. I mean, I think we probably all have heard by this point that copper just tanked. It just kind of depends kind of on the whims and what's being implemented and what's being walked back by the Trump administration with respect to that tariff policy. And then the other thing, obviously, we're talking about, and Dubs alluded to it earlier, is the Federal Reserve and interest rates. So are we all pretty confident we're going to get an interest rate cut at some point? I would say yes. When it comes, I cannot tell you. At the very latest, we know it's probably going to come if Trump just simply ends up replacing Jerome Powell at the end of his term, if not sooner, some way, somehow. But also, let's consider for a moment that the U.S. GDP numbers just came in, and we had 3% growth. Now, it's not often that you're sitting at 3% growth, which is pretty strong, and talking about rate cuts to boost the economy, right? Typically, if the United States economy is growing at a 3% clip in a quarter, you're happy with that data. You're not out there saying, hey, we need to cut rates and gin things up. This isn't a recessionary environment, really, right? So what is this going to ultimately lead to? If the U.S. economy is able to weather the tariffs, the economic policy, if the U.S. consumer is able to be resilient enough to weather whatever price increases we do see from that policy, from the labor shortages, from the food prices, whatever, and the economy weathers all this, and then we still cut rates, you're just going to see higher inflation. You're going to see higher inflation. And I would kind of almost book it regardless of how those things more or less shake out. Because if the economy starts to stumble or falter, it only increases the chances for a rate cut. If it doesn't, the odds that the economy stays, again, plodding along and doing pretty well and then gets the tailwind of a rate cut, it's just going to add more fuel to that inflationary fire. So when we talk about the precious metal bull that has carried gold and silver to record highs or close to record highs, I really don't see an end in sight in the short term. We now got silver, I think it's around $35 per ounce. We're going to get over 40. I'm seeing predictions for $50 silver over the medium term. I don't think that's unreasonable. I'm seeing predictions for $4,000 gold. It's not unreasonable. A lot of the prices we've seen for these things, like $2,000 gold or $35 silver, are things that 5 or 10 years ago people were saying were unthinkable. But now they're our reality. And I think if you look at the dynamics, you look at the dollar, you look at trade, you look at safe haven buying, you look at, like I said, most of all, inflation, then you kind of have to still be on the bandwagon of precious metals. So I'm going to keep riding the wave here. We've got Pan American Silver. That's one of the better silver companies you're going to find out there. It's performed well this year. It's performed well in the past month, and so we're sticking it with it.
It's a great one. It is definitely one of the top ones out there. I really like that. And, it's interesting. The silver industry is really it's very it's kind of unique. It's different from a lot of other ones. Pan American Silver has a lot of connections to other silver companies.
Right.
A lot of investments in other silver companies, a lot of joint ventures with other silver companies, and that's sort of how the market works with these big, successful, silver miners. Is that they're sort of going out and looking for the explorers. They're not doing the exploration themselves. They're finding stuff that I think they would call it brown fields opportunities, where it's not green fields, it's not completely unexplored. We're positive there's stuff down here. Pan American Silver has like the oomph to get it out of the ground.
Yeah, and the other thing also about silver prices, just I forgot to even mention industrial demand. So if industrial demand stays robust, and right now I think it counts for slightly over half of silver's consumption, then you get that pressure, that added upward pressure on silver prices.
Well, yeah, and in 2024 there was something like several million or several hundred million ounce shortage in like silver demand versus silver supply. So there's definitely that supply demand imbalance working in our favor too. So really good one. All right, guys. So that is our first 4 picks. So that means, as I explained earlier, we're going to cut this off for those of you watching on YouTube. We're going to do a little recap here first. We will put links below the video in the description to discounted memberships. We highly recommend you join. Like I said, I'm going to see what we can do about figuring out some sort of bundle where you can just click once and get both of us. We highly suggest you join. If you decide not to, as always, we won't hold it against you. Keep coming back. Keep watching these free videos. We'll keep putting them out as long as you want to watch them. Just subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell to make sure you get notified of when we put new content out. And give us a thumbs up. Drop some comments. Let us know what you'd like to hear us talk about. We love to hear from you. All right, and with that, let's get to the recap so you guys can get back to your day. Oh, yeah.
My bad.
That's all right. I'm glad you noticed it, because that would have made the recap a little tougher.
I know, that's coming up.
All right, here we go, guys. So, first up on the list is Astera Labs. Like I said, it's kind of a gamble. If the mood stays positive, if the risk-on environment stays strong, this one's going to keep running. We can probably get a double-digit gain. If the mood turns south and investors start to sour on tech stocks, this one could turn around, like I said, faster than you can spell AI. So it's sort of a gamble, but it was up 40% last month. I think, we've got the momentum behind us. We're coming into what's usually a weak point in the markets seasonally, but we've got some different stuff going on this year than we usually do. So I think we're going to keep pushing through August, and Astera is going to be a good one for us. Next up.
Yeah, RTX, again, just generally speaking, I've been talking a lot about defense contractors and the amount of defense spending. We've all seen it with the U.S. defense budget going over $1 trillion, $2 trillion globally. I think the big turn in the immediate here was Donald Trump's kind of repositioning and warming up to European defense, taking a harder line with Russia. That was the short-term catalyst that we saw over the past month. And if that continues, that will continue to spur more spending and really get things on a much friendlier note. And it's going to be really, really good for American suppliers as, Europe is comfortable and they don't feel like they're being extorted and having to turn to domestic supplies, and that they're comfortable buying American, then that's going to be great for us. It's going to be great for Europe and great for, honestly, global security. So that was a welcome development for sure, and RTX is one of those companies that's capitalizing.
It's a good one. Coming up next is Dorian LPG. Like I said, cheap energy wins wars. Europe needs cheap energy. They're not going to repair the pipelines that used to bring them cheap energy from Russia. They just agreed to a trade deal with the U.S. that calls for U.S. natural gas imports. Dorian helps us get the natural gas from the U.S. to our customers overseas, and I think it could see a lot of activity because of this.
Yeah, so Pan American Silver, I'd say over the short and medium term, I see moderate, if not high, inflationary pressure. I think anybody who's bought groceries understands that. I think we, as Americans, that's one of the things that's most acute, that's most visceral, that we all kind of understand. You get that sticker shock when you go out and buy stuff. Depending on which way the economy blows, whether it's safe haven buying or interest rate cuts in a relatively robust economy, that's going to increase the money supply, and we're going to get more inflation. And I think that's maybe the one thing I'm most confident in over the next 12 months. So precious bull market still intact here.
For sure. All of the, pretty much all of the inflation forecasts going out 3 months, 6 months, 12 months have a 3% handle on them.
Yeah, one way or another, it's going to get there.
Yep. Joe, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, about that inflation. I think we've got a really good list here. I think that the market's been interesting this year. There have been some great buying opportunities. I think there are still some great buying opportunities out there, and I think we've got a good list here for you with a bunch of great buys on it. So with that, we'll end things. As always, to the folks on YouTube, thank you for watching. We really hope to see your names on our list when we send out our next messages. If not, we won't hold it against you. We'll keep putting these out for free as long as you want to watch them. We do enjoy making them, as you can probably tell from this month's episode. So have a great month, guys, and we'll see you next time.